The rain poured relentlessly over the small farmhouse as Kim Tae-ho stared through his window at the darkening sky. The weather report had warned of a typhoon, but this storm felt different. Lightning flashed across the clouds in strange patterns, illuminating his rice fields in brief, eerie bursts. At 42, Tae-ho had lived alone in this countryside home near Busan for the past 5 years. The solitude suited him after leaving his corporate job in Seoul. Here, among his rice fields and the distant mountains, he found peace in the simple life of a farmer. But tonight was anything but peaceful. The wind howled, bending the trees almost sideways. His phone buzzed with another weather alert, but the signal was becoming unstable. Through the glass, he watched his rice fields thrash under the assault of rain and wind. Then he saw it, a light in the sky, different from lightning. It pulsed with a blue-green glow, moving erratically through the storm clouds. Tae-ho pressed closer to the window, his breath fogging the glass. The light grew larger, brighter, until it pierced through the clouds directly above his property. "What in the world?" he muttered, reaching for his phone to record the phenomenon. But before he could start filming, a deafening crack split the air. The strange light plummeted from the sky, trailing smoke and debris. It crashed into his eastern rice field with an impact that shook the entire house. Tae-ho grabbed his raincoat and flashlight. Whatever had fallen could be dangerous, but he needed to check for damage to his crops. As he reached for the door handle, a loud knock froze him in place. 3 more urgent knocks followed. Who would be out in this weather? He hesitated, then opened the door slowly. The wind nearly tore it from his grip. Standing on his porch was a woman, or at least something shaped like a woman. Her height and basic form were human, but that's where the similarities ended. Her skin had a silvery sheen that seemed to ripple like water. Where hair should be, delicate tendrils moved with an intelligence of their own. Most striking were her eyes, large, almond-shaped, and glowing with the same blue-green light he'd seen in the sky. She was clearly injured. A dark liquid that might have been blood seeped from a wound in her side. Her strange clothing, which seemed to shift between solid and liquid states, was torn and damaged. "Please," she said, her voice carrying an odd harmonic quality. "I need shelter." Then her legs gave out. Tae-ho caught her before she hit the ground. Despite her alien appearance, she felt surprisingly human, warm, solid, with a definite weight to her. She wasn't some hallucination brought on by lightning strikes and too much soju. "You're hurt," he said, helping her inside. The rational part of his mind screamed about the dangers of letting a strange creature into his home, but he couldn't leave anyone, human or otherwise, injured in this storm. He guided her to his couch, where she collapsed with a sound that might have been a sigh. Close up, he could see that her skin wasn't just silvery. It had intricate patterns that shifted and changed like clouds in the sky. "Thank you," she said, pressing a hand to her wound. "I didn't know if humans would help." Tae-ho's mind raced. An alien, an actual alien, was bleeding on his couch. "I'll get the first aid kit," he said, falling back on practicality to keep from panicking. "Though I'm not sure if human medicine will work for you." "My body will heal," she replied, her voice growing weaker. "I just need time and safety." Lightning flashed again, illuminating the room. Through his window, Tae-ho could see several new lights in the sky, different from the one that had crashed. They moved with purpose, searching. The alien woman followed his gaze and tensed. "They're looking for me," she whispered. "Please, I can explain everything. But first, I need your help. I can offer you anything in return. Technology, knowledge, wealth. Just please, don't let them find me." Tae-ho looked at the desperate alien on his couch, then at the searching lights in the sky. His simple life had just become very complicated. But as he learned in his corporate days, sometimes the right choice wasn't the easy one. "Rest," he said firmly. "We'll figure this out together. But first, let's take care of that wound." As he went to get his medical supplies, Taiho realized his quiet life as a farmer had just ended. But somehow, helping this strange visitor felt right, even if it meant getting involved in something much bigger than himself. The storm continued to rage outside, but inside, history was being made in a small farmhouse near Busan, as humanity's first private contact with alien life began over a first aid kit and trust given freely in a moment of need. The storm continued to rage outside as Taiho carefully cleaned the alien's wound with antiseptic. The silvery liquid seeping from her side had already begun to slow, and he noticed her skin seemed to be slowly knitting itself back together. "I need to tell you who I am," she said, her voice steadier now. "My name is Neri. I am an investigation officer from the Stellar Alliance." She touched a small device at her throat, explaining why her Korean sounded so perfect despite her alien nature. Taiho sat back on his heels, processing this information. "Like space police." Neri's mouth curved in what might have been a smile. "Something similar. We maintain order across inhabited systems. My division investigates internal corruption." Thunder crashed outside, making them both jump. The searching lights they'd seen earlier had disappeared, but Taiho sensed they weren't gone for good. "What happened to your ship?" "I was pursuing evidence of criminal activity within the Alliance's Earth Observation Council." Neri winced as she shifted position. "Several high-ranking officials are involved. They discovered I was investigating and tried to eliminate me before I could expose them." Taiho brought her a glass of water, which she accepted gratefully. Her tendrils moved to help guide the glass, and he tried not to stare at their graceful movements. "Why Earth? Why were they watching us?" "Your planet is approaching a crucial development stage. The Alliance has strict protocols about contact with emerging civilizations." She took another sip. "But some officials see Earth as a potential resource to exploit. They're trying to classify your world as hostile, which would allow for aggressive intervention." The implications made Taiho's stomach turn. "They want to invade." "Not directly. But they would manipulate events to create conflicts, destabilize governments, and eventually present the Alliance as saviors." Neri's glowing eyes dimmed slightly. "I've seen it happen before. I couldn't let it happen here." Taiho stood and walked to the window, watching the rain. His mind should have been reeling from all this information: aliens, space politics, corruption. But instead, he felt oddly calm. Perhaps because Neri's dedication to justice felt familiar. It reminded him of why he'd left his corporate job, refusing to participate in his company's illegal practices. "You're very calm about all this," Neri observed. "Most humans would be less accepting." He turned back to her. "I believe you're telling the truth, something in your eyes. You remind me of people I've known who fought against corruption. It has the same cost everywhere, doesn't it? Even among the stars." Neri's tendrils rippled in what he was beginning to recognize as an expression of emotion. "Yes, the faces change, but greed and power remain constant across species." She attempted to stand but faltered. "You need rest," Taiho said firmly. "You can take my bedroom. I'll sleep here and keep watch. I can't ask that of you. They'll come looking, and sheltering me puts you at risk." "You didn't ask. I offered." He helped her to her feet. "Besides, I left my last job because I wouldn't stay quiet about wrongdoing. I'm not going to start looking the other way now, even if it involves aliens." As he helped her to the bedroom, Neri studied him with those luminous eyes. "You're different from what I expected. The Corruption Council claims humans are selfish, violent, unready for contact. But you've shown more kindness than many Alliance citizens would." "Maybe that's why they're afraid of us," Taiho suggested. "Not because we're violent, but because we might choose to be better than they expect." Neri's tendrils rippled again, this time in what seemed like amusement. "Perhaps you're right. Thank you, Taiho, for everything." After settling her in the bedroom, Taiho returned to his living room and sat in the dark, listening to the storm. Tomorrow, they would need to plan their next move. The people hunting Neri wouldn't give up easily. But for tonight, he had done the right thing, offering shelter to someone in need, even if that someone came from the stars. Outside, the typhoon began to weaken, but Taeho knew this was just the beginning of a much bigger storm. Whatever came next, he would face it knowing he had chosen to stand against injustice, no matter its origin. Some truths, it seemed, were universal, even across the vastness of space. Morning sunlight filtered through the windows as Taeho made breakfast. Neri sat at his kitchen table, her wound nearly healed, the silvery patterns on her skin gleaming in the dawn light. She hadn't slept much, and neither had he. "I need to tell you the full truth," Neri said, her tendrils moving restlessly. "The evidence in my ship's computer, it's worse than I first explained." Taeho set 2 bowls of rice porridge on the table. "Tell me." "The officials I'm investigating, they're not just corrupt. They're the heads of the Earth Observation Council itself." Neri's glowing eyes dimmed. Director Jun, Subdirector Han, and their inner circle, they've been manipulating data about Earth for years. Taeho's spoon halted halfway to his mouth. "The people in charge of monitoring us. They've built a false narrative. Every peaceful resolution on Earth is buried. Every conflict is highlighted. They're painting humanity as violent, unpredictable, dangerous to galactic stability." Neri's voice carried a trace of anger. "And they're succeeding. But why? What do they gain? Earth is rich in resources they want. Minerals your people haven't even discovered yet. But Alliance law forbids interference with developing civilizations unless they pose a threat." She touched her translator. "If Earth is classified as hostile, they can establish protective oversight. Take control of your resources, your development, your future." Taeho stood and walked to the window, looking at his damaged rice field where Neri's ship had crashed. "The evidence is in your ship. The data core, yes. It contains years of their communications, altered reports, profit projections. But the ship's badly damaged. Getting to it won't be easy, especially with their agents searching. Those lights we saw last night. Hunter units. They'll be back, probably with ground teams." Neri joined him at the window. "I'm sorry, Taeho. I've put you in danger by coming here." He turned to face her. "You're trying to protect my entire planet. A little danger seems fair." His expression grew serious. "How long before they classify Earth as hostile?" "The final vote is in 3 days. Once it passes, the Alliance will begin intervention procedures immediately. Then we need to get to your ship." Taeho's voice was firm. "Today." Neri's tendrils rippled in surprise. "You don't have to help me. You could tell them where I am, probably get a reward. And watch my world be stripped of its resources. Watch humanity's future stolen by corrupt bureaucrats." He shook his head. "No, some choices are easy, even when they're dangerous." A sound like distant thunder made them both tense, but the sky was clear. "They're starting their search pattern again," Neri said quietly. "We'll have to be careful. The crash site will be watched." Taeho was already moving, gathering supplies into a backpack. "I grew up in these fields. I know ways to move without being seen." He paused. "Can you walk well enough?" "Yes. My body's almost finished healing." She touched his arm. "Taeho, you should know. Even if we get the evidence, exposing them will change everything. Earth will learn about the Alliance, about other worlds. Your life will never be the same." He looked at the simple kitchen, the fields beyond, the quiet life he'd built. Then he looked at Neri, an alien willing to die to protect his world's freedom. Some prices were worth paying. "Maybe it's time for things to change," he said. "Maybe humanity needs to know we're not alone, and that there are people in the stars worth fighting beside." Neri's tendrils moved in what he now recognized as a smile. "Then we should move quickly. The hunter units will be less effective in daylight. They're designed for night operations." As they prepared to leave, Taeho took one last look at his home. By helping Neri, He might lose everything he built here. But by doing nothing, humanity would lose something far more precious, the right to forge its own path among the stars. "Ready?" he asked. Neri nodded, her eyes bright with determination. "Ready. And Tahoe, thank you for believing in justice, even when it wears an alien face." Together, they slipped out into the morning light, two unlikely allies racing against time to save Earth's future. The truth hidden in Neri's crashed ship could change everything, if they could reach it in time. The morning sun cast long shadows across the rice field as Tahoe and Neri crouched behind a storage shed, watching her crashed ship. Two men in dark uniforms circled the wreckage, their movements precise and methodical. "Alliance hunters," Neri whispered, her tendrils shifting anxiously. "They're looking for the data core." Above them, three sleek shapes moved through the clouds, Alliance ships maintaining the search pattern. The local news had already reported unusual atmospheric phenomena, and Tahoe's phone buzzed constantly with weather alerts and warnings. "We need a distraction," Tahoe said, reaching for his phone. "And I know someone who might help." Captain Park, G1 answered on the third ring. "Tahoe, it's been years." "G1, remember when I helped you with that accounting scandal at the base? I need a favor, a big one." 20 minutes later, two military helicopters appeared, officially investigating unusual radar signatures. The Alliance ships scattered, following protocol to avoid detection. The hunters at the crash site retreated to their hidden positions. "Now," Neri said. They sprinted across the field. The ship's hull had cracked open like an egg. Neri slipped inside while Tahoe kept watch. His heart pounded as she worked, every second feeling like an eternity. Finally, she emerged with a crystalline cube the size of his fist. "The data core," she breathed. "Everything we need." A sharp whine cut through the air. One of the hunters emerged from behind the wreckage, holding a weapon Tahoe had never seen before. "Officer Neri," the hunter said in accented Korean, "surrender the core." Tahoe acted without thinking. He grabbed a piece of wreckage and threw it, striking the hunter's weapon. Neri moved instantly, her alien reflexes far surpassing human speed. The hunter went down hard. "Run," she shouted. They sprinted across the field as energy bolts sizzled past them. The military helicopters were returning, drawn by the commotion. Tahoe's phone rang. "Jai-1. What the hell is happening out there?" his friend demanded. "I'm picking up energy signatures that shouldn't exist." "Meet us at the old temple," Tahoe gasped as they ran. "Bring no one. I'll explain everything." They reached Tahoe's truck just as the Alliance ships reappeared. Neri clutched the data core as they sped down rural roads, the crystalline cube pulsing with stored information that could change Earth forever. "Your friend," Neri said. "Can he be trusted?" J1 saw corruption in the military and fought it, even when it cost him promotions. "He's like you. He can't ignore injustice." They reached the temple as dusk fell. J1 waited in civilian clothes, his face tight with concern. When Neri stepped out of the truck, he reached for a gun that wasn't there, old military habits. "J1, Tahoe said quickly, she's a friend. And we need your help to save Earth." Over the next hour, they explained everything. G1 listened silently, his expression moving from disbelief to anger to determination. "So these Alliance officials want to classify Earth as hostile," he said finally. "Use it as an excuse to take control." He looked at Neri. "And you're trying to stop them." "Yes, this core proves their corruption. But we need to get it off Earth to expose them." Jai-1 checked his phone. "My contacts report unknown aircraft all over the region. They're looking for you." "We need somewhere safe," Tahoe said. "Somewhere to plan our next move." "I know a place," Jai-1 said. "An old bunker from the war. Not on any modern maps." He looked at the darkening sky. "We should move now, while we have cover." As they drove into the night, Tai-Ho watched Neri holding the data core, such a small thing to hold the fate of a planet. Behind them, lights moved in the sky. Hunting, searching. The race to save Earth's future had begun in earnest. "We'll succeed," Neri said softly, as if reading his thoughts. "Your people deserve their chance among the stars." Tai-Ho nodded, hoping she was right. The next few hours would determine humanity's destiny, and they were running out of time. The old military bunker buzzed with activity as Jae-won coordinated with South Korean military command through secure channels. 3 days had passed since they recovered Neri's data core, and the world was waking up to the reality of alien presence. "The Americans have confirmed visual contact," Jae-won reported, looking up from his laptop. "Chinese and Russian space monitoring stations too. They can't hide anymore." Neri stood by a wall of monitors showing news broadcasts from around the world. Shaky videos of Alliance ships filled every screen. "They're getting desperate, breaking protocol by operating openly." Tai-Ho watched as military officials hurried through the bunker, casting curious glances at Neri. After Jae-won had shown them the evidence from the data core, South Korea's defense ministry had moved swiftly, establishing this emergency command center. "Japan and India have joined the coalition," a young lieutenant announced. "Their satellite networks are now linked with ours." The evidence of the alliance's corruption had spread quickly once Jae-won released it through military channels. The data core contained thousands of falsified reports, manipulated evidence, and secret communications revealing the true plan for Earth. "More ships entering atmosphere," someone called out. "Over the Pacific." "Hunting ships," Neri said grimly. "They know we have the evidence. They'll try to prevent us from broadcasting it to the Alliance Council." Tai-Ho touched her arm gently. Her tendrils had been moving restlessly all day, betraying her anxiety. "Earth stands with you now. We won't let them silence the truth." A general entered the room, everyone snapping to attention. "The UN Security Council has reached a decision. All major powers agree. We present a unified front. If the Alliance wants to label us hostile, let them face a united Earth." Screens showed military forces mobilizing worldwide. Fighter jets patrolled the skies, ships moved into defensive positions, and ground forces secured potential landing zones. Humanity was preparing for its first possible interstellar conflict. "We're not ready for a real fight," Jae-won said quietly. "If they attack." "They won't," Neri assured him. "The corrupt officials are few. Once the truth reaches the full Alliance Council, they'll be stopped. We just need to hold out until then." An alarm blared. Multiple ships were descending toward their location. "They'd found us," Tai-Ho said. "No," Neri corrected, studying the radar. "Those are Alliance peacekeepers. See their flight pattern." The Council must have noticed the unusual activity. True to her words, a transmission soon reached them. The Alliance Council had begun an emergency session. Neri's evidence would be heard. "Earth's response has already changed things," she said, hope in her glowing eyes. "By uniting instead of panicking, you've proven the Corruption Council wrong about humanity." Tai-Ho watched the monitor showing Earth's unified defense forces. From his simple rice farm to this moment, everything had changed. But Earth was facing this change together, standing against injustice just as he and Neri had done. "We should prepare the full evidence presentation," Jae-won said. "The Council will want to see everything." As they worked, Tai-Ho noticed Neri's tendrils moving in what he now recognized as a smile. "What is it?" he asked. "I was just thinking," she said, "how lucky I was that the storm brought me to your farm. One person's kindness changed everything." "One person's honesty," he corrected, nodding toward the data core that had exposed the truth. Outside, Alliance peacekeeping ships maintained a protective circle around the bunker, their presence a sign that justice might yet prevail. Earth's first official contact with alien life had come through corruption and conspiracy, but humanity's response had shown its true nature, not the violence and chaos the corrupt officials had claimed, but unity and determination in the face of injustice. The storm that had brought Neri to Earth had passed, but its effects would ripple through human history forever. As Tahoe helped prepare the evidence that would decide Earth's future, he knew that whatever came next, humanity would face it standing together. The Grand Chamber of the Alliance Council buzzed with tension as Director June stood at the podium, his holographic image projected to Earth's united command centers. "We come in peace," he announced, his words translated worldwide. The Stellar Alliance wishes to establish formal diplomatic relations with Earth. In the South Korean bunker, Tahoe and Neri exchanged glances. The Corruption Council was making its move, trying to maintain control of first contact. "They think we'll wait quietly," Neri whispered, her tendrils rippling with determination. "They're wrong." Ji-won nodded to his technical team. "All systems ready. We can broadcast through both Earth's networks and Alliance channels simultaneously." Director June continued his speech about peace and cooperation, but Neri was already moving. She connected the data core to the broadcast system, her fingers dancing over the controls. "People of Earth and members of the Alliance Council," Neri's voice cut through, overriding June's transmission. "I am Investigation Officer Neri. What you're about to see reveals years of corruption and conspiracy against Earth." The evidence poured out across all channels. Falsified reports flashed across screens. Secret messages detailing plans to exploit Earth's resources played in full. Financial transactions showing bribes and payoffs appeared in stark detail. Director June's hologram sputtered. "This is a deception. Officer Neri is a known criminal." "The evidence speaks for itself." Tahoe stepped forward, addressing both Earth and the Alliance. "Your own data proves your lies. Earth isn't hostile. We're defending ourselves against your corruption." The council chamber erupted in chaos. Several council members rose, pointing accusingly at June and his conspirators. Alliance peacekeepers moved to secure the chamber exits. "Security forces are moving to arrest Director June and the others," Neri reported, monitoring Alliance channels. "The council is calling for an emergency vote to reject the hostile classification." But the Corruption Council had one last move. Alliance hunter ships descended toward the bunker, weapons charged. "They're trying to silence us," Ji-won warned. "If they destroy the data core." "Too late," Neri said with satisfaction. "The evidence is already spreading through the Alliance network. They can't stop it now." Earth's defense forces engaged the hunter ships, proving humanity's ability to defend itself. Fighter jets scrambled alongside Alliance peacekeepers, working together to protect the broadcast center. In the council chamber, honest Alliance officials were taking control. Director June and his conspirators were led away in restraints, their years of corruption exposed to both worlds they had tried to manipulate. "The council apologizes to Earth," a new voice announced. "The Alliance High Minister. We will prosecute those responsible and establish true diplomatic relations based on mutual respect and honesty." Cheers erupted in the bunker. Neri's tendrils moved in joyful patterns as she turned to Tahoe. "We did it. Earth is safe." "We all did it," he corrected, gesturing to the humans and aliens working together around them. "This is how first contact should have been. Different species standing together against corruption." The High Minister continued. "As our first act of cooperation, we invite Earth to send representatives to the Alliance Council. We have much to learn from a world that faced potential invasion by uniting instead of dividing." Outside, the hunter ships retreated as their commanders were arrested. The morning sun broke through the clouds, shining on a world forever changed. Humanity had passed its first galactic test, not through violence or submission, but through the courage to stand for truth. "What happens now?" Tahoe asked Neri as they watched Earth's leaders begin coordinating with the Alliance. "Now," she said, her glowing eyes bright with hope, "we build something better, together." The corruption had been exposed, justice had prevailed, and Earth had earned its place among the stars, not as a victim of exploitation, but as a world that chose to fight corruption wherever it found it, even across the vastness of space. The cherry blossoms drifted on the spring breeze as Tai-ho stood in his rice field, now restored and growing strong. 1 year had passed since Neri crashed into his life during that stormy night. The spot where her ship had landed was marked by a simple memorial stone, already becoming a site of pilgrimage for those wanting to see where humanity's true first contact occurred. Lost in thought, Neri appeared beside him, her silver skin gleaming in the sunlight. She wore her Alliance diplomatic uniform, but her tendrils moved freely, a sign of how comfortable she'd become on Earth. "Remembering," he replied. "Hard to believe it's only been a year. So much had changed." After the Corruption Council's exposure, the Alliance had reformed its entire approach to emerging civilizations. Earth had received protected status and an unprecedented fast-track invitation to Alliance membership. The transition was still ongoing, but humanity was adapting with remarkable speed. "The new First Contact protocols are being ratified today," Neri said. "They're calling them the Tai-ho Principles, emphasizing trust, honesty, and mutual respect." He smiled, still uncomfortable with his newfound fame. His small farmhouse had become a symbol of humanity's entrance into galactic society. Diplomatic meetings were now held in his renovated living room, where world leaders and Alliance officials sat where Neri had once bled on his couch. "The cultural exchange programs are thriving," Neri continued. "Humans are already studying at Alliance universities. Alliance citizens are fascinated by Earth's art, music, literature." "And you?" Tai-ho asked. "How do you like your new role?" As Earth's first Alliance liaison, Neri split her time between her duties and helping humanity navigate its new place in the galactic community. She kept her small room in Tai-ho's house, claiming Earth's sunrises were too beautiful to leave. "I never thought exposing corruption would lead to this," she admitted. "Being part of something new, something better." They walked together toward the house, passing the security detail that now protected this historic site. Inside, photographs lined the walls. Neri and Tai-ho at the Alliance Council, Jide-1 receiving his appointment as Earth's first Alliance Defense Coordinator, the global celebration when Earth's protection status was announced. "The assessment committee arrives tomorrow," Tai-ho reminded her. "Earth's first formal review for full Alliance membership. They'll be impressed," Neri said confidently. "Humanity has shown remarkable adaptability. Your technology integration rates are unprecedented." The merger of Alliance and Earth technology had accelerated human development while preserving Earth's unique innovations. Clean energy, advanced medicine, and space travel were transforming society, but Earth's nations had maintained their independence and cultural identity. "There's talk of establishing an Earth branch of the Investigation Division," Neri added. "They want you to help lead it." Tai-ho laughed. "From farmer to galactic investigator. Life takes strange turns." "The best kind of turns," Neri said, her tendrils moving in that familiar smile. "Like a storm bringing me to exactly the right person's door." Outside, an Alliance shuttle passed overhead, its quiet flight a normal sight now. Children in the nearby school learned about both Earth and galactic history. The future they would inherit was bigger, brighter, and full of possibilities their parents had never imagined. As evening fell, Tai-ho and Neri sat on the porch where they'd first met. The same stars sparkled above, but now humanity knew it wasn't alone among them. More importantly, they knew they had friends among those stars, allies who stood for truth and justice across the vastness of space. "To think," Tai-ho mused, "all this started because you needed shelter from a storm." "No," Neri corrected gently. "It started because you chose to help someone in need, even when they looked different, even when it put you at risk. That choice changed everything." Together, they watched the stars, two friends from different worlds who had helped forge a better future for both their peoples. The small farmhouse stood as a reminder that the greatest changes often start with the smallest acts of kindness, even on nights when storms bring unexpected visitors from the stars. So much had changed. After the Corruption Council's exposure, the Alliance had reformed its entire approach to emerging civilizations. Earth had received protected status and an unprecedented fast-track invitation to Alliance membership. The transition was still ongoing, but humanity was adapting with remarkable speed. The new First Contact protocols are being ratified today, Neri said. They're calling them the Tahoe Principles, emphasizing trust, honesty, and mutual respect. He smiled, still uncomfortable with his newfound fame. His small farmhouse had become a symbol of humanity's entrance into galactic society. Diplomatic meetings were now held in his renovated living room, where world leaders and Alliance officials sat where Neri had once bled on his couch. The cultural exchange programs are thriving, Neri continued. Humans are already studying at Alliance universities. Alliance citizens are fascinated by Earth's art, music, literature. And you? Tahoe asked. How do you like your new role? As Earth's first Alliance liaison, Neri split her time between her duties and helping humanity navigate its new place in the galactic community. She kept her small room in Tahoe's house, claiming Earth's sunrises were too beautiful to leave. I never thought exposing corruption would lead to this, she admitted. Being part of something new, something better. They walked together toward the house, passing the security detail that now protected this historic site. Inside, photographs lined the walls. Neri and Tahoe at the Alliance Council, Jai-1 receiving his appointment as Earth's first Alliance Defense Coordinator, the global celebration when Earth's protection status was announced. The assessment committee arrives tomorrow, Tahoe reminded her. Earth's first formal review for full Alliance membership. They'll be impressed, Neri said confidently. Humanity has shown remarkable adaptability. Your technology integration rates are unprecedented. The merger of Alliance and Earth technology had accelerated human development while preserving Earth's unique innovations. Clean energy, advanced medicine, and space travel were transforming society, but Earth's nations had maintained their independence and cultural identity. There's talk of establishing an Earth branch of the investigation division, Neri added. They want you to help lead it. Tahoe laughed. From farmer to galactic investigator, life takes strange turns. The best kind of turns, Neri said, her tendrils moving in that familiar smile. Like a storm bringing me to exactly the right person's door. Outside, an Alliance shuttle passed overhead, its quiet flight a normal sight now. Children in the nearby school learned about both Earth and galactic history. The future they would inherit was bigger, brighter, and full of possibilities their parents had never imagined. As evening fell, Tahoe and Neri sat on the porch where they'd first met. The same stars sparkled above, but now humanity knew it wasn't alone among them. More importantly, they knew they had friends among those stars. Allies who stood for truth and justice across the vastness of space. To think, Tahoe mused, all this started because you needed shelter from a storm. No, Neri corrected gently. It started because you chose to help someone in need, even when they looked different, even when it put you at risk. That choice changed everything. Together, they watched the stars, two friends from different worlds who had helped forge a better future for both their peoples. The small farmhouse stood as a reminder that the greatest changes often start with the smallest acts of kindness, even on nights when storms bring unexpected visitors from the stars.